All right. We are recording.
All right.
I want to turn my camera off so I'm not taking up your frame.
Oh no, we should be good. I'm Aggie, and today I'm going to actually be teaching how to go over videos of fighting and analyze it so you can learn from it a little better. And of course, all that time I had to get ready, I didn't grab my notebook. Basically, in my opinion, though, there's two parts of analyzing videos, and it's very blatantly non-specific review and specific review. Non-specific is what it sounds like. It's just watching the fight and looking for those odd moments that you actually want to go back and specifically review. I do that most of the time. I'll watch a video 4 or 5 times until I find that one weird thing that actually made someone do something overly effective, or that one weird thing that they're doing wrong. And so a lot of it is just understanding the basics of fighting. For me, the reason I feel that I do pretty well at reviewing fighting quickly is I spent a ton of time just watching fighting, and I understand what it should look like. I think we all at some base level have watched really good fighters throwing the basics efficiently. If you watch that enough, there's patterns built into that, and from there, you can just see when people aren't doing those things. Just to start out going over some video and see if we can kind of see what I'm talking about here. I got sent this video of a new fighter, never been in armor before, just doing pel work. And I got asked what's happening that it looks like she's throwing shots wrong. So if we watch this for a little bit, we'll see if we can catch the two things she's doing wrong. If anyone wants to type in the comments, feel free to, or just open up and say if you see it. Which of course I pick an odd part of the video for it. Okay, so if anyone caught it, feel free to jump in and say something. Yep, Garcia, kind of no hips. It's deceptively that. If we actually go back and watch, she gets a lot of hip movement. Her shoulders are locking up, but you're right. She's not rotating properly on her core. The issue is she's not rotating the top. And Zavi's right too. Her high flat snap, if we watch when she throws up here, she's T-Rex arming. And that's what he's talking about. It's all wrist, a lot of that form. Same with a little bit of that cross to the head there. Now, here's a question for you guys. Why is she doing that? Because there's a specific issue happening at pel work right here that's causing her to do that. So the secret is, if we look at this again going back a ways, she's just too close to the pel. That's why she's shortening her arm. That's why she's undercutting her shoulder rotation real bad, because she's too close to the pel and she doesn't want to short stroke it on all that. If she'd take a whole step back, it would probably fix that. Does that make sense to everyone in the chat? Perfect. Thank you, Michael. So that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. We went through and we looked at it to find what was weird. Garcia pointed out, hey, it looks like she's not using her hips. From there, we went back and looked at it again. And like I say, the hips weren't the issue at all. She was actually like turning her hip pretty solidly into it. She wasn't letting her shoulders rotate, so she was wasting all that motion on top of just not getting a good rotation. And it was all, like I say, that distance to the pel. I know some of this seems a little complex. There's a great channel done by another person called Avery Alex. And if you watch any of the stuff he teaches, which we're going to go through some of this without sound on, he makes it really easy to learn how to do this, because he'll watch it at regular pace, which is what he's doing now. And then after about a pass, he goes through and he etch-a-sketches, or John Madden skadoodles the whole fight for you, explaining the motions and everything like that. While we're waiting for the skadoodle part, that leg's a great shot, and he was rewinding too, for the same reason. If you look, Sean does a hip fake down, and that's what sets the other guy's feet, Hans, for that leg shot. So it's things like that specifically that you look for, those subtle, small movements that don't look normal.
That almost looked like my old fighter practice site.
I'm jealous. That looks like a great fighter practice site. It looks like an amazing fighter practice. So outside of this, looking at videos of high-end fighters fighting or watching a newer fighter fighting, one of the things that I got specifically asked about when I was looking at what to teach for this is what people wanted. And a lot of it is, how do you watch yourself and to learn from what you're doing? I'll be honest, if you don't have a lot of video of yourself, just go video yourself. Spend 2 fighter practices, which I realize you might not get to do for a long, long time. But just spend, spend 2 fighter practices just videotaping yourself and watching, and you'll catch all the silly small stuff you do. It's ridiculous how just a little bit of video of yourself goes a long way in realizing that, oh, I have a lot of bad habits. Case in point, this is the file of fighter practice videos and fighting videos I have on just myself and some people, because I like having video of seeing what I do wrong. I do a lot of stuff wrong. That didn't work at all. So at this point, does anyone have any more specific questions to dive into? I don't think you guys do.
It sounds like so far, so I think you're good to move forward.
Do I watch the video slowed down? Okay, that's actually a great question. Not really. Most of the time I want to see it at speed because I want to see how they're generating force. And if you slow it down too much, it's a little bit harder to tell, for me at least. I will tell you, after I watch someone do something, one of the best things I can do to correct myself to see what they're doing is just go through and do the shadow boxing, because yet again, you know what feels right, you know what feels wrong. If you're helping someone fix an error, or if you're just trying something new, that's a great way of actually trying to understand how someone's doing something. But yeah, I don't try to slow down the video much at all. Let's see. So I hate to say it, guys. I expected a lot more questions, and I don't have much more to go over. Sadly, as far as concepts go, it's exactly what it sounds like. The more you watch the video, the more you can find the small thing where someone does a shoulder pump or is not turning their hip correctly to get motion. But it's that same concept at every base level of you're just watching to see what the odd thing that they're doing wrong is because you've seen people do it right a lot. Are there other channels that are out there on YouTube that I'm a fan of? Yeah, there's a lot. I actually, and I might have to look it up at the end and post it for you, Michael. Count Gemini, who lives out in Vegas, just recently in the last 2 months started a great new channel that I like. It's not about video review, it's on fighting in general. Alex Avery's great on fighting review. In the end, I think any video you watch, even if it's 2 newer fighters or 2 Super Dukes fighting, anything's great. Probably the most fun channel I like watching is all of the mid-realm Shiver Treat fighter practice videos, just because they put good music to it.
So could you pull up a video of a fight and kind of do your critique or breakdown of it?
Sure. Let's see what we can find. As I type slowly. We'll just pick a random video, and we want something not super long. That's not even this kingdom. Sure, we'll do this one. All right. Before the fight even starts, we can go into some factors that we already know about both these fighters. We all know Ashir and Donegal both have good footwork. We know Donegal's a lefty. We know that Ashir has an amazing defense, but Donegal uses more mobility. Past that, anyone have base notes on these two fighters before we actually watch the fight?
If you can get Ashir to do the offside leg shot, his shield drops.
It does. It really does a lot.
He's fast,
Right.
but it drops, and if you're waiting for it, it's there.
Right. Donegal also has some just amazing psych out maneuvers. Outside of actual fakes, he's really good at mind games in this level of tournament. So
I like what you said about mobility and defense, because that really highlights both of them there.
yeah, they're both solid fights. There's reason there's a final. Okay, so already Donegal's cut off the whole cross shot to the head because he respects that Ashir can throw the cross. He's also floated a little bit wider than his normal stance for the wrap because Ashir has good footwork. Right? So Donegal's set up on defense off the bat, and he wants Ashir to throw the first shot. That's what that tells me right out the gate.
He's also going with a wider legs. Oh, there you go. He shortened it up.
Yep. If you look now, he's going offensive. He's got a wider posture for shoulder movement. He switches front foot because he didn't think he was going to get Ashir to dedicate first, is my guess. Good duck. Okay. Okay, so at this point, Ashir's already proven that he has a bad habit against a lefty twice. Has anyone caught it?
He squared up.
Yes, and due to that, what happened when he went backwards? Went straight backwards both times. Donegal chased him all the way across camera, then he chased him right towards us. So we'll see if this continues. Okay, a lot more lateral movement there, which is good. They also threw a lot more at each other as far as earnest shots. It was no longer probing if you looked at that. That was a lot more they were trying to get a piece of something. So, but as far as actual bad habits coming out, nothing super direct. I am going to take the note I've never seen Donegal throw that bicycle wrap he threw. Which one did you want us to show again, Jean-Lupo? Which part?
Basically, if you just back up to that, with the start of the second pass, because it seemed like it was real quick.
I think this is the end of the first little pass before the turn. Which that's a great leg shot Donegal throws. It looks like it should be a wrap and you just straight leg it. It's that body fake. But yeah, what Ross was talking about, he squared his feet. And then when Donegal came in, yeah, he couldn't pivot either way at all. So I didn't catch this fully earlier, but when Ashir throws that really odd kind of back blade sidestep, his foot slides. And that could have been a good shot if his foot hadn't slid right there. It is a neat little bowling step he throws, though. And that was that bicycle thing I was talking about, where he just pulled his arm out and hook turned it back in.
Maybe he could tell us what he was thinking at this moment.
I bet he could now that he's in the call. I bet part of it is I hate getting hit in the leg. Okay, so that was interesting. Ishir takes a big wide step to throw the wrap, and I think it caught a little shield is what the conversation is. Okay, we'll see what happens this time. Okay, so same thing happened, only this time Ashir didn't even plant his feet, but he's still straight backwards. So what does this teach us for the future when we fight Ashir?
Go towards him.
Right, if you get him going backwards, he's probably just going backwards. And yes, attacking before, that's a good rule for everyone, Garcia. Attack before they set up. All right, so if you're fighting Donegal and you're the person on your knees right now, here's an important note, and this is anyone you're fighting. Which is the lead foot, which tells you which foot is going to take the passing step. So Donegal's set up to where if he steps in, he's stepping into shield side, which means he's going to be more open for the wrap, which then is a great fake for the cross of the head. Case in point. And then I'll be honest, I can't review Greatsword that well, so we'll find a different video.
Come on, dude. That's the greatest shot I ever threw in my life.
I like it.
No matter the outcome.
I don't think
All
I've
right.
this year fight greatsword.
Yeah, but I suck with Greatsword. That's the difference. All right. So Kellick's the one in black. Looter, I believe is the name, is the one in red. All right. Pretty sure Kellick does not have a thrusting tip for notes. I think Looter does. I'm not sure why I need to pause.
Very much kind of a Joanga style with the sword and the shield.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, watching Kellick, he would drive me bananas because his footwork is unorthodox as can be. Lots of foot crossing, lots of big body movement.
He points his toes weird.
Yeah. It works for him, obviously, but oof.
What do you mean weird?
So I'll see if I can pause on when he does it. So most people put down the ball of their foot and their toes, whereas he's actually putting his toes down significantly a lot of the fight. Like he just did it that little moment there. And it's a lot of the times when he's doing the crosses. I think it's so he can pick which way he's pivoting his foot to depend on how he wants to change his shot.
He also points both of his toes towards his left.
Yep. Good catch.
He really likes to cross.
Yeah.
It
But,
almost
like-
reminds me of that old footwork drill. I know Bellatrix used to post where you do the step and then you do the rotate your foot 90 or 90 degrees or whatever. That's almost what it looks like he's doing.
Kinda, yeah. I hadn't seen that in forever. And Davi, you're exactly right. That's why it's throwing all of us off, because we were all told never, ever, ever cross your feet like that. And now this guy who is Prince at the time of this video is consistently doing that.
Well, there's Martis too.
Right. But he also, though, throws an amazing sword block right here. That's just real slick, because it's just clean as can be and didn't even look like he was intentionally there. Okay, so if you had to fight him, what notes would you have?
I would take like a 6-inch step towards him every time he steps sideways crossing his feet. I would just throw some pressure in the middle of that.
Yep,
Yeah, just try to force him backwards at that moment.
correct. There's also one other important note for righties. Just because he's not fighting a lefty, I'm not sure if he does it. He leaves a big gap open across his right upper pec in between his shield and his sword. I don't know if he's borrowing that shield because he's an Out of Kingdom Royal going to mid-realm thing, but he has a big diagonal opening all below his chin on his right side, if we watch this more. And he defends it by being super offensive, but it's consistently open.
It also looks like he's now getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
He's also counterpunching a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pulling people in with footwork to counterpunch.
That was a nice little pressure.
Yeah, that was, and it was just a nice little knee bend, but it was solid. He has enough offense, though, to make it really work.
You see that? So he's got a habit where he does that little like swish the sword down below and then sets up. I
Yeah,
think that's an opportunity that you could step into also while he's in like,
yeah, his little wrist flourish there.
yeah.
He also does a lot of wrist spins, too. Sure. I jumped to the end of the video. That was my bad, guys. Let's see what this looks like.
That is a tiny person.
Either a tiny person
Or
or
a gigantic
huge person. Yeah, one or the other. Whew. I know where they are.
So since you don't know these people so well, what kind of things are you looking for here as opposed to when you're looking at a Sharon Donegal, which we know?
I'm looking for essentially the same things. I'm looking to see what they're doing wrong compared to what is considered right in SEA fighting, as far as there being a core concept of right. So like already what I've noticed is he's not using footwork to try to pressure her, which is either him being nice or he's a tall guy and just doesn't need to use much footwork. She, on the other hand, currently looks like she's throwing multiple quick chops is kind of what she's done so far. I've also noticed that neither of them are rotating their shield handle to block leg shots, which is a big thing for me. You need to rotate your hand and use it like a 3D object.
That's a Bronto style thing. They basket block that offside leg.
Yeah, and it works for them. I'm super impressed every time they do it, but I'm huge on hand rotation.
She also looked like she was blinding herself a bit.
Yeah. Almost looks like she doesn't have shield edging on her shield too, though. Okay, so like that shot right there, it looks like she didn't know if she wanted to throw a shot or a thrust. I see it, what it is. She's generating a lot of snap off her feet, and she's actually trying to throw tip shots with force, is what it is.
Let me check.
Sorry.
Do we know who that is?
Her name is Lady Hildegard and Sir Havard.
Oh, okay.
English. Hey, Alec. English language.
They are from the mid.
Well, yeah. Ohio specifically, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as our shield being high, this is Ariel on the chat tonight? She's not, darn it. Anytime you're significantly shorter than your opponent, you're gonna have to carry your shield high. It's just a thing. If we had Simyaka or Ariel or Acelif around to explain it, it's just something you deal with. It's also the same reason if you fight someone who's significantly shorter than you, throw a low leg wrap. Just take their legs out from under them. It'll be easier in the long run. But they have to.
I'm 5'11", and I realize that.
Right, yeah. Next time you fight Hildebrand, just adjust everything up a couple inches. It becomes a lot easier. Okay, as far as this fight goes, though, I keep getting myself distracted. So she's done everything I would advise her to do against him, other than I would tell her to turn the pommel of her handle a little bit towards her right, just to cut off that angle on the outside leg he keeps throwing. But she's throwing arm shots at him because he's taller and has more range. She's jumping in to engage. She's throwing a lot of high pressure and some low pressure, so I don't think she's doing anything wrong. And that was actually a great little combo there. That was just rough.
Obviously, that was. Ow.
We've all got hit by that by Donegal before, and ow.
I'm kind of surprised that neither of them are really using their shield to manipulate the other shield.
It's not really a mid-roam thing.
Yep.
I
Well,
found out
they're staying at a bigger range.
Well, and specifically, it's not like in Indiana, Ohio mid-roam thing. Like some guys, like if you go out and fight Kellick and take what I just said to heart, you're going to be really, really disappointed because he's going to hang on you.
Yeah. That being said, if you get a chance to fight Kellick, oh man, he gave me one of the worst beatings of my life ever. I don't think I touched him in like 6 passes. Just great fight. So I don't know why people don't throw the snap wrap at the elbow more often at anyone who has a center grip. If she would have tried to throw that at an elbow instead of trying to get the head, she probably would have got the arm. She won either way, but
And that's a good shot because it, even if you don't win with it, you'll probably make them do something else.
yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of threaten people's arms. Make them scared to do dumb stuff, like throw at me.
Yeah. So as a lefty, that guard that he's taking, I'm going to throw 3 or 4 really fast shots at that forearm that's out in front of his shield.
Mm-hmm.
Make him put that shit away.
I'm going to give him a super mad props here on this wrap he throws, because he's throwing it cross body and totally tricks her because of it. It looked like he was going to pass on the left still, and he got her with it. Nice.
She did a good job stepping to her right to cut off his step to the left there.
You know, she's doing a good job of shutting off a lot, but he keeps throwing that big offside saber. But he throws it well. It's a pretty shot. Let's see. Let's watch Max hit someone. This is always fun. We can talk about teleporting and trying to see if people have tells before they teleport. So if you spot the setup before he jumps like 5 feet forward and hits the guy, which he might not hit him, it is Crown Finals, but he's at least going to jump 5 feet forward at some point. If you can see what he does right before, just yell it out.
Is Max the one on the right?
Yeah, Max is the one on the right in the purple.
Okay.
He, for the longest time, came to Lily's. Every once in a while, he still shows up, I think.
Yeah, he started a new business venture, so he's been crazy busy.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay, so very long sword. Just for notes. Yeah, very long shield too. Lots of kingdoms outside of here have big shields. They're fun to play with.
Long, narrow point, though, you can still get to the leg.
Oh, yeah. And it is strapped, so there is that. I gotta say, they have great posture, though.
Hey, there was the jump.
Yep.
It's all footwork.
He's refusing to come into range.
I'm not sure if it's refusing to come into range as waiting for his pitch. But it's all about marketing.
I mean, you only have to go into your opponent's range, morally speaking, if you've like legged them and you have a longer weapon than them. Other than that, it's your list field. You're free to do whatever the shit you want to.
And as far as opening with combos, if you go to Meridies or fight a lot of people from Meridies, they throw combos. It's just a thing. They use lighter swords than we do, just in general, and they throw pretty fast because they just do.
Was that sure?
Mm,
No, it could have been. He would have been gone.
so what I was mentioning earlier before the end of the first pass is And it's odd, especially compared to watching fighting video from here. They both have very good posture. It's very upright, whereas we have a lot of forward lean as a culture. So it's odd as a note to look at stylistically.
Looks more like he's bending backwards.
Right. Yeah, he almost has a backwards lean.
He's loading that back foot because he's waiting for that jump.
Exactly.
Look how much tension's in that back leg.
Yeah. And probably the lower back too, because that's where all that force is going to come from when he's in midair. Core strength goes a long way for force.
Right. He's a crazy CrossFit freak.
Yep.
Yeah, we have one here locally that comes out to play every once in a while. Smokes your leg real hard.
Yeah. Oh, CrossFitters. All right, so here's the jump we were talking about earlier.
You can see him getting his beat.
So if you watch, he actually crosses feet to do it. So here it comes right now, yep. And it's crazy that that works so well, but he literally is crossing feet to then throw out.
He did a lot of resting, and he did a lot of like taking, like anytime any ground was given, he took it, which is like what Branos talks about a lot.
Mm-hmm. So if we watch it again, he also does a good job of setting his opponent, because his opponent starts coming forward, but not with enough aggression. And that's what he waits for in that moment. If you look at the timing here, it's really beautifully done. Because if you do it now, the guy could defend himself, but he waits till he starts throwing shots. Just pretty.
Not only that, but once he threw the shot, the sword was no longer there on the high guard.
Exactly. Yep. All right. And now we're going to Aidenville. Because styles and stuff. First of all, these rectangles look super fun to fight with. It feels like you should be open to a straight leg.
Corners
But-
are a little low,
What was that, Ross?
though. They are able to rotate the corners really well, though. Notice the one on the right, especially, is working. Has at an angle for the corners.
Yep. I still feel like it should leave a lot of leg open, though, even with the corners. But corners work. They really do. So,
I bet you anything that he's formerly from Ontier
which one?
in the black square shield. So that strong, goofy foot forward with the shield up underneath your armpit, that's an Ontier thing.
Makes sense. I've seen it a lot with the round shields up there. I've not seen it with the squares, but yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I actually paused to point out that, so this is a great tactic when you're fighting lefties. So the shield's held high to just 100% block out the cross shot here, and then they have the low sword guard. That way they have to watch for leg shots now. Everything else is pre-blocked. Pretty great way to fight a lefty, especially one you don't know. Also for notes, every time I see a video where all the fighters wear greaves, I worry about that kingdom. Like, how many people hit people in the shin?
When I first got to Drachenwald, it was a lot.
Fair enough. All right, we'll go back a little bit further for that in there.
Right. Look at how sloppy the lefty shield has gotten.
Yep. And also at this point, it's blocking a little bit of his own arm placement.
Mm-hmm.
But the righty there catches a solidly good sword block on purpose after the killing blow, including a really good head lean to make sure it didn't power through. Overall, not a bad fight. Oh, come on. I guess we'll go back until we get back to... What do we got in here? Yeah.
I don't think it's a Sir Alaric, I know.
So Dag is on the left, Alaric is on the right. Both fighting with the strapped heaters. Fun times.
There's something about Dag's stance that kind of reminds me of Valen's.
Yeah, a little bit. They both have that kind of squat stance. One of the early notes I have on Alaric is he fights left foot forward.
Of course,
Dag has already crossed feet multiple times, but Alaric keeps adjusting back to that just standard heater stance.
Here, read this.
you said Dag's the one in blue.
Yep.
Yep.
I don't know why, but he reminds me of your dad. Not necessarily fighting, just the look.
That's fair, yeah. I see that. They're about, I'd say they're probably the same age and generation in the SEA.
Yeah.
So Alaric has some really good sword blocks already. Nice looking fancy Molinet.
I don't know where that thrust went.
Yeah. I think that thrust was good, though. I don't know why he threw an offside leg from his knees into that stance. Seems like an interesting choice.
Not only that, but I think by doing an offside, it runs a chance of getting caught.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely, your shield's in your way at that point. It's a very interesting choice. Yet again, though, Alaric back there throwing just some awesome sword blocks in here. Like, that's, got to give the man credit. That's a lot of block.
That's not okay.
Also, there's a Nigel for notes.
You just try to take my iPad right behind my yeah. He's ready to go out.
So, if I had to fight Alaric after watching that, I think my answer would be to start by trying to see how he deals with people circling to the left. At range, close in, I want to see what happens when you actually pressure him on his left side and he has to square up his hips or rotate his stance or change his feet to deal with you. As far as Dag goes, I've actually got to fight Dag a couple times, and I try to throw an offside into his arm due to that stance. Anyone else have notes on these two?
So is it just me, or does it look like they're driving directly into each other? I don't see any angles.
No, that's a great call. You're 100% right. They're both going forward.
If you fight either of them, Dag will compensate for it, I think, better than Alaric would,
Hmm.
moving offline. Because, like you said, he actually does move his feet.
Yeah. Oh no, from having fought Dag, yeah, he doesn't care if you try to circle him. He will cross his feet all day. He'll throw out at either stance where, like I say, if you watch this whole fight, Alaric always has that left leg forward, powering off that right leg. Which, it works. It's a style. And he has some just great sword work, though. Like, that was a real pretty Milanese through.
It was.
I also noticed that when he wanted to back out, he dropped his hips.
Yeah, he actually does a lot of stuff using his hips. I was noticing, like, actually, I got right where I wanted to. If you watch, the reason he blocks this offside body isn't sword position as much as he actually is setting his hips to get everything where he needs it. Until Dag throws that just wicked, almost vertical body shot.
But
Nope.
then if he moved, he wouldn't have gotten hit with the body shot.
Right.
It was pretty static in position.
100%. Also, giving Dag some credit on part of that, he fakes him pretty hard here with what looks like should be a wrap set. Let's see if I can get to the right point. There we go.
Sorry.
So he throws one wrap, and then he cocks his shoulder here like he's going to wrap, and then flips it. Bashir throws that same thing at all of us, where it looks like he's throwing a wrap, and then he dumps. It's great when you see someone throw it well, and Dag was just very subtle in it. All right, I think one more, and we can go over any other notes we have. Wow, suggestions are not great today. Obviously, I've watched this one quite a bit. Sorry about that. Here, we'll just watch a different Osteoran fight. So, Owen versus Jason. So, yet again, if you throw at the elbow, he at least has to pull that shield across. So that would be one thing I would want to threaten more. As far as fighting Jason goes, I'll tell you from experience that most of his force is generated by going forward into his opponent. So he's looking to charge into people, which is going to make him fighting Owen an interesting fight because you really don't want to jump into Owen.
I do like the fact that he doesn't back when he backs out kind of to an angle.
Yeah, he does a really good job of actually staying away and circling through all of this. So far he's done a real bad job of telegraphing thrust though, when he gets his tip down. But real good circling motion, real steady. He's not really putting any pressure on Owen, but he's keeping within range to where if he wanted to, he could.
No,
Like right there, terrible thrust in the fact that it was already down before he even tried to throw a thrust.
So I haven't seen Owen fight very often. Is that his footwork, is that pretty standard for him?
For Owen or Jason?
For Owen, it almost looks like he's almost stomping when he steps forward.
Yeah, he's a lumberer. I would never say that he is graceful, but he definitely is going to chase you down slowly. And I think he got the first kill went to Owen here. Let's see. I missed what happened. My bad. Arm shot. That would have been a sucky arm shot to get hit by. Here we go. I will tell you that is a great thing to throw against me and Xerxes and Matsu, because we all have a bad habit of throwing these high crosses. If you have a vertical chop to the top of the head, like Ross throws at me all the time,
That's where you
keep hitting me in the arm. I do appreciate videos like this where they do a slow-mo for the kills. And that was just good blocking and being patient. So Jason also has an interesting body position. It's a lot like if it's anyone in Kingdom, it would be like Dirk, I would have to say. The back leg is way, way bent and a lot of pressure on it. And yet again, it's also he can spring forward. It's very similar to Max in its own way, even though where Max was leaning back, this is more of an L shape going forward.
But he's keeping his stored leg forward so he has the range.
Yep.
I like the bunny hop. See, if I was Owen, I'd want to get him in a corner.
Yeah, and Owen's been real nice about the ropes. See, yet again, another one where if he'd thrown that head wrap at the arm, he would have probably got an arm. Just saying. Big fan of throwing arm wraps.
Oh, that's like almost shoulder and back right there.
I agree, Garcia. I don't like the idea of Owen hitting me either. It's not even the haymaker, it's all of it. It's pretty solid. Delay game penalties. But while they're fixing his shoe, it goes into the earlier question. As far as videos that I watch, I like watching all of it. You can learn from watching all of it.
So when you're watching videos of yourself, I mean, what are you specifically looking at? Are you
Typically, the things that I know that I have bad habits about are what I look for first. Being lazy with shield placement. Sometimes I make terrible footwork decisions, and I remember it later and go, I should go back over and see what I did that made me throw myself to the ground. Because there was a while where I tripped myself once a fighter practice almost, and I had to actually video my way through seeing what was happening that was causing me to throw myself to the ground literally. But it just varies. Sometimes it's just watching to see what it looks like when I fight, to see if there's any just bad habits I don't know I have, and that's a whole lot of it. Looking for bad habits or blatant openings that I didn't know were there. Which sadly and luckily, we're our own worst critics. So if you watch a video of yourself fighting, you'll never think that you're doing great. And you'll see all your flaws real quickly. Past that, as far as watching video goes, I don't watch video of people who I think are going to be fighting in Crown to try to get an edge on them. I don't really think that that works as well. I think fighting them actually matters. I think if you're prepping for something like Crown, you can't just video learn your way into an opponent. You actually have to fight them for experience. This is a really pretty shot that he gets him with here in a second. So he's been circling to the right this whole time, and he keeps circling, and it's just a flick to the face. All right, and since we brought up being scared of Owen hitting people, let's see if I can find this video. Okay, I couldn't find the video I wanted, but we'll do this silliness. We'll watch some Lachlan versus Owen fights. But there's a lot of talking. But to go back into that, what do I look for in general? No, universally, it's just anything that's outside of what I already know and find to be the norm. Whether that's I'm trying to learn a new shot, like stupidly, I decided I wanted to know how to throw spin shots. So I looked up a ton of SEA spin shots, and it's a footwork trick is all it is. You just have to know how to be able to spin with your feet the correct direction, and then you can throw spin shots either way. And it's learning stuff like that, or actually learning what's the correct way to throw a Molinet by watching multiple different people's way of throwing it. It's things like that that I actually really like to focus in on if I'm looking for something specific. But a lot of that is just watching videos till I throw someone or see someone throw something crazy, where I'm just like, oh, I want to know if I can even generate that force to get that to work right.
When you watch videos, you're looking for videos for a specific thing.
No. Often I'm watching video for the love of the game because I like watching it. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you get to watching video, especially in tournament fights. Jason throwing that high little just outside fake to cross snapped Owen's face just now. Super pretty shot. I'd love to get to hit someone with that in a tournament. So that might be something I go out and Pell just to add to the rotation because I want to throw something pretty. But I'm not going out there looking for it sometimes, but sometimes I am. It just depends on what exactly I'm doing at that point. And that goes to part of the earlier starting conversation of this whole thing, which is sorry about the motorcycle going by. I do non-specific first, where I'm just watching fighting to watch fighting. So later I can do specific, so I can try to hone in and find that exact thing that I was like, oh, that's super cool and I want to learn. Often it's just watching fighting to see how other people generate force on basic shots too, because every kingdom does things differently. Every kingdom has their own culture and blow acknowledgement and shield style. As Donegal pointed out, the whole on tier putting your shield in your armpit thing, I didn't think about that, but yeah, remembering a lot of Sports of Kings fights and things like that, it's a very common thing up and on tier. Sometimes it's worth it just watching a high-level fighter fighting a new person to see what it looks like when they tone down their style. Branos has a couple really good, enjoyable videos where he's working with this kid whose name's Rennie, I think, or Renee, I'm not positive. But it's him boffer fighting with a young kid working on mechanics, but because it's Branos, it's still super high-end technical mechanics, but he's teaching it to a young man. So you're getting to watch Branos be a little bit slower, which makes it easier to understand how he actually does everything he does. This works the same way if you watch Donegal fight a newer fighter where he's actually trying to just work on something with him. Watching that video lets you actually deconstruct what they're doing with force and pressure and things. But by that same mark, I also will go out and watch the highest level fights I can find because they're super fun. As far as that, anything past that, my favorite videos to watch in the world are sincerely this guy named Count Gemini. I brought up his channel earlier that I've just started watching. I can't remember the name of. I'll try to post in the thread later. Gemini is someone where I can just watch him fight all the time because he literally is blocking stuff by just half inches. There's a buckler fight where he fights Duke Sean from Artemisia, and it's just crazy. Fights with a short sword or a mace most of the time. Super fun fight. But other than just sitting here watching people swing sticks at each other, which we can do all night, it's past 8. I'm happy we got to do this. Does anyone have any actual questions about analyzing fighting and how to do it past it just takes doing it and practicing?
Do you like to concentrate on watching it through watching the legs, watch it through watching just the arms? Or is it just kind of big picture?
So it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm trying to learn a specific shot, what I will actually do is I'll watch them do the whole motion 2 or 3 times, and I will go and grab a stick, a yardstick, a ruler, a pencil if it's all I have, and I'll get in the stance they're in, and I'll actually physically go through the motion they're doing. And then I'll watch and make sure if anything doesn't feel physically right for me, I'll go through and watch what I'm doing wrong. Because what I'll find often is some of the weirder shots that you can find online, there's a weird change up at the hip or back where you have to transfer force to get it to work on some of these combos. But a lot of it's just go through and find something new and interesting for you, and then just try doing it on the Pel until it feels right and comfortable for you. That goes into, though, no two bodies are the same, so there's some stuff that just you're not ever going to be able to throw. There's stuff I'm not ever going to be able to throw, but there's also stuff that we can and we should try to do. I also appreciate that the last comment in the feed is Owen's haymaker makes me flinch, because if he read that, he would giggle.
Well, first off, I want to say this was a very enjoyable evening. It was kind of nice to see video and have a discussion about what we're seeing and breaking down, whether it's what someone's doing wrong or what should they be doing. I enjoy that. I just enjoy fighting, talking about fighting.
Right.
So thank you for leading this evening.
No, anytime. And if for any reason you do see something in a video and you want me to try to explain it to you, universally, I love watching fighting. I will never be upset with someone for sending me fighting video of them fighting. I will do my best to tell you what I think you're doing right, what I think you're doing wrong. I just enjoy fighting too, and this was very fun. I wish I had more information to give you guys, but like I say, it really boils down to watch something until you see something that you think's cool that you want to do, and then watch that until you can do it by just trying it. That's a whole lot of the process. As far as converting this into how does this function for you at a fighter practice, or how does this down the road help your fighting when you're fighting specific people, that's a totally different class, which is about how to teach yourself to be more analytical. And a lot of that is making yourself tell people what you saw them do at practice while you're fighting them, because it makes you slow down and think, hey, I have to have notes for people.
Sounds like that might be your next class.
Yeah, that's something that I actually think I could probably just rant for an hour on. So, but either way, I had a great time. Thank you guys for having me again. I hope that some people learned some things from this. If not, I hope everyone had fun.
Oh, no, I enjoyed it. And I just would like to say to everyone, sorry for the detour to get here. I will make sure that we have the correct link out in advance next week. And then next week, Garcia is going to be going over melee tactics. I really hope we get you guys in because he's got a cool website. And I'd like to give him some exposure on that. He's done a lot of work on his own, and I think he's got some takeaways that we can all get next week. So please tune in, and I will see everyone next week.
Sounds good.
Thanks, yo.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.